I don't think squeezing Caitlin into the Olympic team is giving up a lot for what she provides, is it?
So this is, to me, I very rarely feel, I think going both sides on things is typically a cop-out. I think this is a rare instance where I think there is a credible argument on each side of the equation. The credible argument on her not being on the team is a very simple one. As from a merit perspective, she's not one of the 12 best. That it is not a long argument. It is a simple argument. If we want to put our 12 best out there, she's not there yet. But it is not as simple as that, because if we are being fair, from a merit perspective, Diana Taurasi is no longer one of the 12 best, and she has a roster spot. Now, we can say that's leadership, and we can also say, I think correctly, she's earned it. Yeah. She is maybe the greatest women's player of all time. That you want to put her in another Olympics. She has identical, same points, rebounds, field goal percentage as Caitlin this year. Caitlin turns it over way more, but also has way more assists. Their seasons, you put them side by side, it's jarring how similar they are. And you put Diana on, in my opinion, for non-basketball reasons to a degree. You could do the same for Caitlin. Where I am not as worked up as seemingly everyone else is, I actually don't think it was going to, I don't think the eyeballs drawn was going to be so much different with or without Caitlin Clark on the roster, because even if she were on the roster, she would not be playing a ton. And where I do think there is some pushback from people who have been long-standing fans or members of the WNBA is are people more interested in the WNBA right now than they were, or are they exclusively and solely interested in Caitlin Clark? Is there an effect of our sport is getting more coverage, or is it something, I'm going to mix metaphors here, of, well, look at how many more people care about the NFL thanks to Taylor Swift? Well, okay, but are they exclusively interested in the Chiefs and Travis Kelce, or all of a sudden do they have Brock Purdy takes? I don't know, and I don't even know if that necessarily matters. But I don't think the Caitlin Clark topic is cut and dry in either direction when it comes to the Olympic game. Here is my concern, though, Colin, because we're already seeing it. You have Nikki Haley, who might end up being the next vice president for all I know, sending out a tweet talking almost demanding an investigation into why she's not on the roster. I think someone is going to, at a White House press conference, say, does President Biden have a comment on the Caitlin Clark snub? I think this is going to jump over into the political realm, because this is so ripe for the culture war craven cretins that just want to, at its core, make this be, oh, this little white girl's getting picked on in a black league. Yeah. And it's going to become really gross in ways that Caitlin does not deserve and did not ask for. I also think, from a basketball perspective, quickly, I actually think this is really good for Caitlin Clark. And I think the Fever, in a 12-team league, 8 make the playoffs. You don't have to have a great record. Could this month off, plus the fact that the schedule softens, they have no more back-to-backs, lead to Caitlin Clark being excellent late in the season and this team sneaking into the WNBA playoffs, which would be far better for the league than her having a few cameos in the Olympics? I think so, and
Okay, let's talk about this, because there is a lot to talk about, and I feel like I'm about to explode here. I don't even know where to begin, because everything Nick Wright is saying is absurd. First off, he said he thinks it's a cop-out to have both sides of the argument, meaning he could only see things in black and white, which is insane. That is one of the biggest motivators of why I started this channel in the first place, and I keep saying it because we do not live in a world where everything is just yes or no, up or down. We live in the middle in all of our aspects of our life. All of our aspects, from relationships to money to our job to our goals and aspirations. So the fact that he thinks it's a cop-out is just like beside me. And it's just like, I know a lot of other people go back and forth with all their takes. People can't even reach a conclusion whether or not they want to stay married to someone or whether they want to marry someone in the first place. And we're talking about that you can have definitive takes on, like, you know, sports and stuff. Absurd to me. But that's just a little side thing. But okay, let's take this from the I'm going to try to do it at the top of Caitlin Clark. Okay, I've already made extensive videos about why I think Caitlin Clark should be on the Olympics and the popularity and the money and financial incentives and growing the sport as a whole. I'm not going to talk about that all again because we've already talked about that in many videos. And again, by all means, check them out. They're really great. But this idea that Caitlin Clark, that these fans are only fans of Caitlin Clark, therefore it's not good for the WNBA, is insane. It is absurd. And to use the Taylor Swift analogy makes even less sense. First off, Taylor Swift, yes, I agree, did not bring useful eyes to the football. And I complained about it and said this is so absurd that the NFL is even leaning into it, because it was just a bunch of random people who want to see Taylor Swift's boyfriend or catch Taylor Swift in the box seats or whatever with, you know, Wolverine and Deadpool. And it's just like, wow, that's exciting. Like, right, those people did not become football fans. Hence it's being absurd and weird. With Caitlin Clark, you're talking about fans of basketball who are now watching women's basketball, something that the WNBA and women's sports as a whole has been desperate for. And they have the audacity to call out men, saying men don't support women's sports, that we don't talk about it enough on TV, that we don't talk about it enough on YouTube, we don't talk about it at work, that we're just not engaged, and we're sexist, and this and that, and all that. And it's just like, it's just not interesting. It wasn't entertaining. Now you finally have Caitlin Clark, who is an exciting basketball player. Her game is exciting. It jumps off the screen. She has modeled her game after Steph Curry, and Steph Curry has literally captured the hearts and minds of an entire generation of fans. And guess what? They were only Steph Curry fans. I know it's hard to imagine because a lot of you guys watching this video are probably not 10, 11, 12, 15 years old, right? Like, you're probably in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So yes, when Steph Curry came into the league, you knew who LeBron James was, Kobe Bryant, right? All the other stars. You knew those guys. You didn't need to be introduced to basketball. Maybe you liked basketball. Maybe you even loved basketball. But maybe Steph Curry captured your mind and heart and made you rediscover how awesome basketball is and love it even more. Or fans that truly were not watching basketball yet, and they're like now either being introduced to it because of whatever reason, they see Steph Curry and they latch onto it and they become fans. And because of that, they become Klay Thompson fans, KD fans, LeBron fans, like all of it. It all comes together. Or like I said in a previous video, they start to root against LeBron or they root against Kawhi Leonard because those are the guys that are trying to beat Steph Curry, right? Which is also good. You need to root for people and root against people. So this idea that Caitlin Clark, these fans only care about Caitlin Clark, and therefore it's not a net positive for the WNBA or women's sports as a whole, is absurd. Like, this is me genuinely angry at this. If this is your first time checking out a video, I usually don't get this worked up. I'm not like trying to be like a Stephen A or Skip, but like this literally drives me insane because it's just wrong. Caitlin Clark is a bridge to fans enjoying women's basketball. That is a fact. No one cared. I am one of them. I did not care about the WNBA. It was boring to me. I never watched a game. Did not watch women's basketball in college. And then I hear about Caitlin Clark and I go, this is interesting. Why is everyone talking about Caitlin Clark? I watch a game and I go, whoa, she's really fun to watch. And then because of it, I learned about other players. I learned about Paige, Cameron, Angel Reese. Like, I learned about them and I was like, oh, actually, they're pretty fun to watch too, actually. And like, oh, wow. And Haley, and I'm just like, wow, okay, I get it. Like, this is actually pretty good. And I even made videos about it and said, hey, this is actually a pretty decent product. Like, it's actually kind of fun because it's actually harder to score and it's just a different style than the NBA. Like, it introduced me to other players, rivals. Yes, I say it, I was rooting against Angel Reese because I was rooting for Caitlin Clark. That's part of the fun. That's part of the excitement, right? Like, that's how it works. So this idea that people are only obsessed with Caitlin Clark and only care about Caitlin Clark, and therefore they shouldn't embrace it, and that's why even the players and other fans and other people that have been part of women's athletics for a longer period of time reject this. It's absurd. You're slamming the door on fans. And then again, Nick now wants to make this about race, which also drives me up the wall. He's trying to turn this into political and a race thing, and on the wrong side of it. There's two other points that I really want to emphasize. Because now he's saying, well, making this political is crazy, and it's now just people who are opportunists, and that they're going to ask, Biden about it or whatever. And you guys know on this channel that I try to stay away from politics, but sometimes it just gets entered into the arena like this. Dude, they ask presidents and other political candidates or politicians in general about sports all the time. That's not unique. Don't act like this is unique in any stretch of the imagination. They literally invite the champions to the White House. Literally, however long ago, Joe Biden had the Kansas City Chiefs there. And Travis Kelce was like dancing around and talking on the mic, and Biden put on a helmet. Obama would give out his, his March Madness bracket. Like, what are you talking about? And yes, Caitlin Clark has become a cultural phenomenon. And again, other politicians and other politicians' wives even, like, they've talked about the Olympics. They've talked about other players. And guess what? This is an Olympic team. This is USA. Like, what are we talking about? You're representing USA, America. So, of course, they will probably ask the politicians about that. Of course they will. It's actually technically relevant for them. So to act like it makes no sense to even bring that up from a political standpoint, yes, in the grand scheme of political discourse, I agree. And guess what? I don't think that these athletes should be invited or called from the president when they win a Super Bowl, because it's absurd and dumb, quite frankly. So to be very clear, I don't care about any of that type of stuff. None at all. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes going to the White House and meeting Trump, Biden, whoever. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. I don't watch it. I don't care about it. I've always thought it was weird. Always, 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 always. Ever since I was a little kid, before I even knew anything about politics, I was like, why are they doing this? But they're the ones that invited into it. So yes, it makes sense. So to act like if they now do that, that it's just a bunch of other people on the opposite political spectrum of him, that he now thinks that it's weird that they're doing it. Well, it's weird for Joe Biden to put on a Kansas City Chiefs helmet. Okay. It's weird. That's that aspect of it. And now when he wants to say like, oh, people are just trying to make this about a white girl in a black league. God, oh my God. They just don't see what they're doing. You finally have fans. You have people that are excited about women's sports, basketball, watching college basketball, women's college basketball over men's college basketball. I didn't watch any of the NCAA men's basketball tournament because I did not care. I watched women's college basketball. And now I'm talking about it. I'm making videos about it. I'm talking in the comments. I'm doing all that type of stuff. And what do the people say? They all just say, Caitlin Clark fans are racist. But they only like her because she's white. They only like her because she's more attractive than some of the other women. And it's just like, first off, like Paige doesn't exist, or Haley doesn't exist, or Cameron doesn't exist. And it's just like, are you serious here? I'm like finally excited about women's sports. I'm like, oh, hey, hear about Caitlin Clark? And people are like, oh, yeah, you only like Caitlin Clark because you're a racist. And it's like what? Like, where did that just come from? Like, my favorite basketball players are like Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, LeBron. Like I grew up with a poster of Iverson on my wall. Like what? I wore Jermaine O'Neal's basketball shoes. Like, wait, what? What are we talking about? Love Mahomes, McNabb, wait, and now I'm racist because I like Caitlin Clark. I was rooting for Ant against Luka and rooting for Ant against Jokic, and I don't understand. I mean, it's just insane. And now he's fanning those flames. And the opposing fans fan the flames. And the WNBA fans those flames. They want to make it about race. They want to say Caitlin Clark is only popular because she is a more prototypical straight white female. And it's insane because you finally extended your fan base. You finally got people interested in them, into your sport. and you just want to say you only like her because you're racist. How does that make you feel as a fan? It's absurd. It makes you now feel unwelcomed. It makes you not feel embraced by the product. I don't want to root for a team or an organization that doesn't want me as a fan for a false, absurd reason. I don't want that. We experience that all the time for like the real diehard fans. When you hear like a player speak bad about your city, you immediately think no matter how good he is, you think like, I don't want that guy. Why am I going to root for a guy that doesn't even want to be here or doesn't like the city or like the fans? You don't want to root for that. You want to root for someone who actually wants you as their fan, who wants you to be part of the experience, part of the team, part of the city, part of the movement. And now Caitlin Clark is a phenom. What she's doing is outrageous. She took over sports, not even just women's sports, but just sports as a whole. Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, any of these guys, these are massive sports figures. Nobody was talking about women's sports, let alone women's basketball, let alone women's college basketball. But Caitlin Clark made it happen. My dad has never talked to me about women's basketball once in our entire lives. And then during the NCAA tournament, my dad randomly says, "Oh, did you hear about Caitlin Clark?" And I'm just like, what? Like, where did that come from? And he goes, "Oh, I was listening to the radio and they were talking about it." Like, he was listening to like local sports radio and they were talking about Caitlin Clark. That's Caitlin Clark. It's just the fact that they can't embrace it and accept it, and then they want to twist it and make it racist or political or anything else under the sun. It's just absurd. You're literally shoving out the fans that you've been desperately trying to get, and it's just wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. It's bad business. It's bad humanness. However we want to describe it, it's just wrong. If you want to make an argument that she shouldn't be on the Olympic team, I'm okay with that. I think she should be on the Olympic team, and like I said, I already made all those arguments, and so I won't bore you with them again. But if you want to make the argument, that's fine. I can get behind that. But then when some of the reasons that you want to add into it, like, oh, people are trying to make this a white versus black thing, the other people are making it that. The people that are fans about Caitlin Clark aren't trying to make it that. Like, that's what he doesn't even realize. The people that he's technically defending are the ones that are making it about race and gender and everything else under the sun. So that's the insane thing. That's the insane thing. Oh, man, it's just such a shame that this has to be a divisive thing. Because it didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. And they tried to do it with Steph Curry. They tried to say Steph Curry is only popular because he is a light-skinned black person. And that if he was darker skinned, people wouldn't like him as much. And it's like, have you forgot that LeBron James is the most popular athlete in the world at that time and probably still potentially? Pretty sure he's not considered light-skinned relative to Steph Curry. Like, they always want to do that. They want to, you're finally a fan. You're a huge fan. You're excited. I remember when I hearing that when I was so into Steph and I was like, Steph is so exciting, making all these threes. This is awesome. I love high IQ basketball. This is great. And then people are like, yeah, well, you only like him because he's a light skin and it makes you feel more comfortable. And it's like, what? What? I grew up with Allen Iverson being my favorite basketball player. He doesn't look anything like Steph. They just want to make stuff up. They want to make you feel guilty for who you like. They want to make you like who you want under their circumstances. They want it to be under their control. It's just crazy to me, man. It really, really is crazy to me. Whew, we got through that. Those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this? What do you think about the politics, the race, the gender, the Olympics, all of it, the fame, whether it's actually helping the WNBA, hurting the WNBA? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.